Hello everybody, welcome to Tactica Imperialis and to today's video. Today is episode 6 of A Town Called Mallus, my Warhammer Age of Sigmar hobby project. And if you've been following this live, I do apologise that it's been a bit of a while since I put up the last episode. As I explained during the unboxing of the Vanguard Brotherhood, I had planned to get another episode out before Christmas and then pick the project up immediately after Christmas. That didn't pan out, mainly due to having December exams, which was a little bit crazy. But I'm back in France now, it's January, and that means it's time to start hobbying because this is about the only time I'm going to get. So today I want to show you the unit that I was working on before Christmas, because it's a unit that, well, I've been meaning to show off absolutely ages. I'm not going to be showing off anything for the Vanguard Brotherhood today. What I want to do is, today I want to talk about this unit that I've been working on. Next week we're going to have another introductory video for the army in terms of an unboxing. So we're going to be introducing new units to the army, we're going to be unboxing something new. And then in the episode after, we've only got quite a small unit that I'm working on as my main unit for the week. So I'm going to have a second unit that I've already started that I'm going to show there. So that's the idea. So you've got one unit to look forward to today, and then you've got an unboxing next week, and 2 units, if I can get them all done, to look forward to. At the very least, a unit and a half to look forward to the week after. I'll also be going through where I plan to go, sort of working through the things I've got to do over the next few weeks in terms of like what units I'm going to be adding in what order and all of those good things. I can't promise you any battle reports at this exact moment in time. I'm hoping to get 1 more or 2 more in with the Age of Sigmar Stormcast stuff, and with Malign Portents around the corner, I do think we have some things to talk about there as well. So few things to talk about today, which is why I wanted to keep it to only 1 unit, as well as the fact the unit next week is going to be quite small. So without any further ado, let us get to this week's models, and then we'll start having a discussion. This is episode 6 for A Town Called Mallus.
Alright, here we have the first half of our unit for today. 5 Judicators. Yes, I have a box of 10, and this is the first 5, just so I can get them all on the screen and show them all off. I'll put the other 5 on the screen for the second part of the video, where we'll do the discussion segment. These guys are armed with the Skybolt bows, though this individual here is armed with a Shock Bolt bow. It's very difficult to see. I don't really, you can tell the difference between this thing and this thing, but it's not extremely clear. If you arm them with their other weapon, which is the Boltstorm crossbow, the Thunderbolt crossbow is much clearer for determining who has the special weapon. It's much clearer. I'm not complaining, just if you're doing quick casualty removal, you just need to be on the ball and checking, that's all. So, why have we got a unit of Judicators, and secondly, why have we got this configuration? I would go over the paint scheme, but there's really not much to say at this point. They are very much the same as usual. Is there anything in particular that you need to see? Let's get the prime. I bought the prime. Let's see here. I painted the arrows in grey, Mechanica Standard grey with Null Oil Wash and then Administratum grey. The main reason for that is I didn't want them to be black arrows because there would be too much black on the armour and I wanted some colour contrast. But I don't own any browns. Well, I do, but my browns are in England and I didn't bring them to France, so I don't have them with me. I'll turn him around, you can see the detail, hang on a minute, you can see the detail on the back, which is the quiver. He's got a dagger, which is here. This one isn't particularly well painted, but if you look at the scroll, let me see if I've got a good one here. Yeah, that's a good one. So hopefully that will zoom in. You can see that was the idea I was going for with the daggers, but I think sometimes the paint got a little bit thin and ran into the cracks, unfortunately. So that's what they're supposed to look like. Get the prime back up, and we can have a look at the quiver. The quiver, there's nothing much to say because it's a red belt like usual, grey strapping. Again, don't have any browns. The arrows are painted exactly the same as the arrow that's in the bow. And the quiver is black with gold edge highlighting, or accent, or whatever you want to call it. There's nothing particularly special about these guys. Seriously, they are exactly the same as Liberators, just with slightly different weapons. Which is obvious because that's what they actually are in-game and canonically. But it's just a bit disappointing that the Stormcast have such little variety in terms of how their units look. So Liberator, and how they paint up. So Liberators, Judicators, both are almost identical. Paladins are slightly unique, but that's only because they've got more gold and a bit more bulk, so they're slightly different. And you can say the Vanguard Hunters have got something unique going for them with the cloaks, but it's not a huge difference. And Stormcast has got one weakness in terms of their appearance. Some people don't like their overall look. They think it's a bit bulky and out of proportion and cartoonish. I don't have that particular issue, but it does make them quite repetitive to paint, and that's disappointing for me. So let's talk tactically, because there's not a lot to say here. These guys are armed with Skybolt bows. These are weapons with a 24-inch range, 1 attack that hits on a 3, wounds on a 3, has 1 rend and damage 1. The alternate configuration, the Boltstorm crossbow, has 2 attacks that hit on a 3, wound on a 4, and have no rend and do 1 damage. However, if they do not move in the movement phase, then you do get +1 attack for them. So if you can get up close, you actually get 3 shots, as long as you stand still. I can see the ups and downs for both configurations. Particularly if you can get up close and personal, the Boltstorm crossbow allows you to put down a lot of fire. You're rerolling hit rolls of 1 when attacking Chaos in the shooting phase, which is very nice. It means that those Boltstorm hits are almost guaranteed to land. But I went with the bows. The main reason is one of range. Simply put, the Boltstorm crossbow's 12-inch range is just not long enough. I need my Judicators, or I want my Judicators, I should say, to be behind my main line and shooting over into the enemy's line. I don't want them on the front line laying down loads and loads of fire. That's not what I want for them. I can see the upsides to doing that, but if you want to do that and only that, well, you can take Vanguard Raptors, who can take Hurricane Crossbows, which I will actually get their stats up. Hang on, excuse me. Vanguard Raptors are able to put out 6 shots per model at an 18-inch range, although they hit on 4s. And they get +3 attacks if they don't move, and they can slow people down as well. Suffice it to say that a Vanguard Raptor with a Hurricane Crossbow is the equivalent to about 3 Judicators. Maybe 2 if you take out the hit rolls. Between 2 and 3 Judicators. So why would you need that? Particularly when you have extra range and can get more shots on that extra range because you're a Vanguard Raptor. Realistically, if you're going to take short-range Judicators, you should just take Vanguard Raptors unless you need them to be battle line because you don't want Liberators, but at that point you might as well take bows. Because the bows have double the range, a better wound roll, and a point of rend. It's not perfect compared to the extra shot, but at the same time, double range, +1 to wound, and -1 rend versus -2 attacks. And yeah, I think they're just a better choice overall. As for the Shock Bolt bow, this is the compensation for the fact you have less shots. So if you fire a Shock Bolt bow and you hit, then you make D6 wound rolls instead of just 1. This means that you effectively can double the shooting output of a unit. So for example, take this 5-man squad for a moment. If they fire, and get, let's say, 3 hits. If this guy fires and hits and generates D6, that's 3 or 4. You've effectively doubled the output of the squad if he hits. And because you're hitting on 3s and rerolling 1s against Chaos, and if I put him on as a prime, which I didn't because I don't like to do that, hitting on 2s, you are almost guaranteed to do that. This means that you don't need to worry about having less shots on the crossbow, guys, because you're just putting out as many shots anyway. That wound better and rend. As a result, I genuinely believe Judicators are the better pick. As far as numbers are concerned, they are, I think it's 120 for 5. I will check that now. They are, Judicators, 160 for 5. Okay, I can't count. So they're 32 points per model, which is expensive. And it makes them 12 points more expensive than the Liberators, which are 100 for 5. But they fight relatively well. I mean, if you compare them to a Liberator in close combat, they have 1 attack, 3s and 4s, no rend damage 1. a Liberator, if you take the same weapon, has, well, just an extra attack. Unless you give them a second weapon, and they'll also have their shields. So Liberators are better in combat, but Judicators are still no slouch, and they can fire at range quite proficiently. I really do quite like Judicators, even if I'm not their biggest fan, and I would only ever take them in this configuration. If I get a second box of Judicators, I might build them with the Boltstorm crossbows, just so I've got the option to do so. Because it may be that I run across, let's say, a horde army of undead, for example, of skeleton warriors or zombies, and I just need as many shots as possible in order to kill them. At that point, and probably that point alone, maybe the Boltstorm crossbows have a use, but the moment you've fired them, you're getting charged. And that's not good. Because with the Judicators with the bows, you're firing from 24 inches away. Your opponent's got to move, and then charge to get to you, because nobody has a 12-inch move unless they're cavalry, whereas if they're infantry, most infantry is move 5 or above, therefore, well, it's move 4 at least, if not move 5, therefore it can cover the distance and has a pretty average chance of hitting you with its charge, if not above average chance of hitting you with its charge. So, you get one shot, you get charged, you back off, and you don't get the bonuses because you moved in the movement phase. That is why the Judicators with Boltstorm crossbows will always be weaker than the Skybolt bows, in my opinion. I'm willing to be wrong, because I've got no tabletop experience to back that opinion up, and feel free to tell me I am wrong in the comments below, if I am, but that is my genuine opinion. Now, the reason these guys are here also is because I wanted just to have some ranged units in my army. This was way before I was planning to buy Blight War and the Vanguard Brotherhood, which then came out on top. So these were going to be my main ranged unit until the Vanguard Raptors, and they'll still be a pretty solid ranged unit, because if you compare them to the Vanguard Raptors with the long strike crossbows, which are your snipers, are 180 for 3, and your Hurricane crossbows are 160 for 3. Just as if to prove the point that Vanguard Raptors with Hurricane crossbows are infinitely better than Judicators with Boltstorm crossbows. Yeah, they cost the same for 3 instead of 5, and you're getting 18 shots at a minimum over a longer range instead of 10. Yeah, it's just not a fair comparison. There's an interesting debate to be had about the long strike crossbows and their increased power versus the weight of fire you do get off Judicators, and I think that's a fair debate to have. But we'll discuss that a little bit more if I get some Vanguard Raptors with some long strike crossbows, because at the moment I'm leaning towards getting Hurricane crossbows for my Vanguard Raptors for this first unit until I get my hands on Blight War or another box of them in some other configuration, because at that point I can have one of each. But I want Hurricane first, just so I've got a way of thinning out hordes of Bloodbound or Nurgle or Undead, which was the example I mentioned earlier. So that's everything I think there is to say. Just to finish off, if you are a person inclined about battalions, there are a few battalions in which the Judicators make an appearance. Obviously the ones in the Warrior Chamber, they're all over those, but there is one other that they are in. That is called the Ether Strike Force, which contains a Knight Venator and a Knight Azeros, the 2 flying heroes, 2 units of Judicators, 2 units of Vanguard Raptors, and 2 units of Ether Wings. These are all units I'm going to have eventually, because my Vanguard Chamber requires me to have the Knights Venator and Azeros. So this is something that I'm considering. And what it basically does is gives you a free shot in the shooting phase, in the hero phase, with 1 unit that is near to the Ether Wings or the Knight Azeros. So you bomb them up the board, and then in the hero phase you can shoot a unit that's close to them with 1 unit, whether that be your snipers or your Judicators, or if you've been able to flank your Raptors, you use them, whatever. And if a unit from your battalion is destroyed, then another unit can attack immediately as if it were the shooting phase and shoot them again. So if your Ether Wings get picked off, then you can use your long strike crossbows to put a hole in the unit that did it, or whatever unit so happens to be close by that you want to use. It's a pretty nifty formation. It's a bit difficult to use because it has no combat in it apart from the Knight Azeros, sort of, and the Ether Wings, again, sort of. But it's an interesting formation you can use, battalion, sorry, and I don't have my General's Handbook to hand to check how much that's going to set you back. So that's an interesting one that I'm going to consider using if I'm not running the full Vanguard chamber. So that might be a good force to have supported by cavalry. So you can use the Vanguard Paladors and the Dracoth cavalry as a force to go and smash the face, and then you have a small amount of infantry covering these guys, or use Griffhounds to run distraction, whilst these guys lay down the law as you approach. And if the Ether Wings get picked off, nobody cares, because you can just snipe out the unit and do loads of damage. So, definitely an interesting unit, a lot of things to consider, and that is the Judicators. I've probably discussed them for longer than they deserve in some ways. So, I will put the other set of 5 on the screen at this moment in time, and we shall discuss the applications for the rest of the army, where we're going, what we've got, and any revised thoughts that I've had going forward.
Okay, let us discuss the plan trademark for this Stormcast army, because we discussed the plan in the past, but we've been getting new boxes and we've got another box coming in next week, so there's a few things I want to discuss. You'll be looking at the other 5 Judicators now, so you can just see they're exactly the same as the other 5. There's one shock bolt bow, which is the front right, I believe, but it's easy enough to identify even if it's not perfectly clear. So, what is the plan? Well, I've got a Vanguard Brotherhood, and it is my intention to complete it. I have another box on the way in, and I intend to complete that. I also received some Stormcast Eternals as part of a Christmas present from Kieran, and he got me something very, very useful that I actually had recommended to me a lot by the comments. So, the next unit that you can expect to see, I won't spoil, but the unit you can expect to see after that is probably going to be a Lord Relictor. Yes, I get a Lord Relictor because that is one of the units that I really wanted to get. But for those who don't know, the Lord Relictor was only available in the Age of Sigmar starter box. Thankfully, because Kieran plays Khorne Bloodbound alongside the Nurgle army he's going to be working on, he has a bunch spare. So he got me a Lord Relictor, as well as Vandus Hammerhand, who's also in that box set, and he got me the pair of them for my Christmas present. So there'll be a Lord Relictor joining the army, as well as Vandus Hammerhand to give me a Lord Celestin on Dracoth, which will be nice. It gives me the option down the line to create the battalion, the Celestial Hunting Pack. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it because it's not stellar, but it's an interesting one to consider because I'll probably have enough Vanguard Paladors to do it, and I do like Dracoth Cavalry, so I might invest in Dracoth Cavalry. We shall have to see. Other than that, well, we have a unit of Vanguard Paladors, a unit of Vanguard Hunters, a unit of Griffhounds, and a Lord Aquilor to be working on. As I've said before, Ether Wings are going to have to wait, and the Vanguard Raptors are on my priority list, so they'll be along very, very soon. I'm not sure what will be next at the time of recording. Well, I do, but I don't want to spoil it. But I will be working through most of that box, but not necessarily all of it first, because the other box I've got coming in is a unit that is also quite high priority. Plus, we have, obviously, the Lord Relictor and Vandus Hammerhand to do. So there'll be things I need to consider. As for where the army's going, well, that hasn't really changed. The only thing that has entered the fray is Malign Portents. Now, I should probably do an entirely separate video, which is my thoughts on Malign Portents. So if I had to say, Malign Portents is the best thing since sliced bread in Age of Sigmar's world. So I'm really glad to see Malign Portents because it's driving the story and it's introducing new missions and ideas and themes. And of course, we're getting some new heroes, including the Lord Ordinator, Ordinata, however it's pronounced. And I really quite like that model. I don't know why, but I do. Same with Gavriel Shawheart, or is it Gavriel or Gabriel? I think it's Gavriel. Shawheart, the Lord Celestant, but with a round shield. And he's not the greatest of the Lord Celestants, because the basic Lord Celestant has a probably slightly better command ability and has a ranged attack. But Shawheart hits as hard as a Lord Aquilor, and that's pretty much like a brick. So I'm debating whether to add Gavriel Shawheart and a Lord Ordinator into the army once Malign Portents is out, and that way I have a proper foot-mounted and cavalry-mounted hero for my my warrior chamber, because I have Vandus Hammerhand, and then the Lord Relictor and the Knight Heraldor as support heroes, and a Lord Celestin / Gabriel Shoreheart / a Lord Ordinator, though we don't know his rules yet, to go and kick some ass. Other than that, I think I'm also waiting and seeing on my importance, because this Vanguard Brotherhood is going to take me some time. I want to get certain things done as a priority. The Vanguard Raptors and the Vanguard Paladors are top of my to-do list, because I need proper range support. Judicators are good, but they're not great on their own, and I want some more cavalry, because my Lord Aquilor is a bit unsupported right now, and riding the Winds of Theric might be something I want my Vanguard Paladors to be able to do to help support him, as well as his command ability. So there's a few things for me to consider on that front. I don't think there's much more I need to say, because, well, this sort of is in the period where the army takes care of itself. Unless something drastic happens in my importance or on the tabletop, there's nothing on my mind that I drastically need to do with the army. I just need to work through the boxes that I've got and just get them done. And particularly in the case of Vanguard Brotherhood, that's quite a big box. I mean, I've started a couple of the units, and some of them are easy, some of them are a little bit less easy and time-consuming. But I've just got to work through them. So this is a period of the army, in terms of construction, takes care of itself. I just have to prioritise the build order. And that's why you've noticed the Vanguard Hunters, I haven't mentioned them once, really. They're not a priority. The Lord Aquilor number 2 is even less of a priority, and he's there for conversion purposes only. I want to do something interesting with him, so I want to give him a round shield, probably one of the Draco's Cavalry halberds, the lances, the glaives even. Glaives, I think, that you can use as a lance. I want to see if I can make that conversion work. I'm also thinking how interesting it would look to give him one of the Vanguard Raptor crossbows, and I don't know why I want to do that, but it sounds fun, so I'm kind of tempted. So I've got things I want to try and experiment with that Lord Aquilor model, rather than doing something serious. So that's on the back burner. But as a priority, Vanguard Raptors, Vanguard Paladors, Lord Relictor are probably the top 3 units on my to-do list. Vandus Hammerhand will come and go. Got the Gryph-hounds, which are interesting. But the main downside to Gryph-hounds is their points cost. They're 40 points per model. They're extremely expensive, and I'm not sure how useful they're going to be at that cost. Even with a Lord Castellant, I mean, you wouldn't ever pay that cost for them without a Lord Castellant. But I think Gryph-hounds will be sort of a nice to have unit. Same with Aetherwings, although the Aetherwings, as I've said before, I'm not constructing them in France, because they will break when I take them back to England. They're going to be too difficult to pin or magnetize, I think. Not that I have any skill in that anyway, and they just look really, really fragile. So I'm not going to be creating them. I might paint them on the frames just to see what I can do with them, but I'm not going to be building them and using them as a priority. Gameplay-wise, as I've said, I think earlier in the video, battle reports will be a bit infrequent, as and when, if at all. I'm hoping to get a couple of games in with the army, although I want to get a couple of units from the Vanguard Brotherhood done first. So I have a couple of key linchpin units added to the army before I put it down on the table, either as a Vanguard chamber or as something else entirely. The only reason that I'm actually not rushing to get Vanguard Hunters is because I've got the other battle line units, which is kind of nice. So thank you, Judegators and Liberators. Anyway, I think that's everything I wanted to say. There's not a lot I need to say in terms of updating you on the army, because I also don't want to spoil next week's unboxing. Although, to be honest, you could probably guess what it is, but I don't want to spoil it here. So that's everything for the A Town Called Mallus hobby project this week, episode 6. I do hope you have enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts on Judicators, whether my logic and my maths regarding bows versus crossbows was the right call, and for the Vanguard Brotherhood, what I should prioritise, and what other units you think I should add now that I've got a Lord Relictor and Vandus Hammerhand, or a Lord Celestin on Draco, basically joining the army. So I've got plenty of things to consider going forward. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to tune in tomorrow, where you'll have the French version of this video, because we're still keeping up the bilingual stuff while we're out in France. So if you want to listen to me rambling on in another language about the exact same things, then you are welcome to do that. Anyway, thank you all for watching. This has been Tactica Imperialis, and I will see you all again. Thank you very much. and goodbye.